Welcome everyone to our session, Investing in Arabic and its Future. I would like to welcome my panelists. Abdesalam Haikal is the founder and executive chairman of Majarra, the region's leading provider of premium digital knowledge and information platform in Arabic. Marcus Alexander Thomas, head of investments of the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, ADIO. Marcus and his team lead ADIO's investments initiatives to promote innovation and development of the private sector in Abu Dhabi. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you very
honored and
much.
thrilled to be sharing this stage with you today. Abdesalam, before we dig deep into understanding Arabic and its future, would you give us an explanation or a further understanding of Majarra, its mission, its vision, and its growth strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure how familiar the audience online mainly and the people in the room are of the Arabic content gap, but there is less content in Arabic for 400 million speakers than in Polish for 40 million speakers. And Arabic compares, its presence online compares to that of Greek, which is a tiny language, and Arabic is one of the world's major languages. So imagine the lost opportunity for our societies in having this outstanding access to the internet in terms of infrastructure, bandwidth, and so on, but not enough content for people to use online, and quality content specifically. So what Majarra does is to try and bridge that gap so that people who are looking for useful content, for content that they can use in their daily life, whether they're in professional life, as in their careers, in their lives with their families, we bring them that content from the best sources in the world, localize the content to Arabic, and put it in the best user experience there is, and offer it to them as a subscription service. So think of content from Harvard Business Review, MIT Technology Review, Popular Science, Fortune, Psychologie of France, and so on and so forth. And you'll find all of these now available in the Arabic language on the Majarra platform for users across the Arab world, from Morocco to Oman.
Amazing. Marcus, every founder I know and every producer friend I have, they have sleepless nights about investment, profitability, cash flow, and the list goes on. So could you let us know a little bit more about the ADIO's strategy in terms of investment and a history of previous investments you've made?
Absolutely, thank you very much. And as you said, it's an honor to be here to discuss this topic that is very dear to my personal heart, as well as to our kind of organizational mission and vision for the future. With you guys today, thank you very much. So the Abu Dhabi Investment Office is the central government hub for investment into Abu Dhabi. So our mandate is to promote Abu Dhabi as a seat of business globally, to make sure that founders, producers, other people active in other sectors are aware of the business opportunities in our emirate. But we don't stop there. Our next step is then to attract these businesses, founders, talents into the emirate and help them build their corporate footprint and their headcount in the emirate. Once they arrive here, our third kind of core initiative comes in, and that is facilitation. So once these companies or talent base themselves here and build their businesses, we're there to open doors for them and facilitate their businesses on the ground and make them part of the ecosystem here, which is the only way that we can build a functioning economy, functioning society going forward. We just completed the last 50 years. The next 50 will probably be based on this kind of initiative. So it's promote, attract, and facilitate are the kind of the key communication points here. Maybe one or two words on when we say attract, what do we mean? So we can support these very daunting endeavors, and you will be able to speak to how difficult it is to build a business in this industry and in many others in a new market, in a new market, in a new culture potentially, and hopefully a new language, in the Arabic language, down here in Abu Dhabi. So we can help businesses through financial and non-financial support structures that we have. So let's start with someone thinking about building a business around here. You have information needs, you have to know your way around, you need to be introduced to the right parties in the Emirate to understand the how. We already communicated to you the why, now we help you with the how so that you don't lose all your hair in red tape, but focus on building actually the business you came to build. Then, in certain cases, we are able to invest financially into these businesses and support the ambitions that these companies have in Abu Dhabi financially. So how does that work and what does it mean? We call these incentive program agreements, and they are usually 3 to 5 year agreements where we attach our support structure to the cost side of the business in Abu Dhabi. That is everything from high-skilled salaries, fixed asset investments, office rent and build out, studio time, local content production at times, if relevant. And we can support those with a very large, a very interesting strategy-altering percentage of that local cost base to allow for a faster build-out or an amplified build-out in the Emirate. So it's very entrepreneur-friendly mechanism. It's non-dilutive. For our investment, we do not take an equity stake. We don't appear as a debt obligation on this, most importantly, young businesses, but we're there to support against a set of clear KPIs, and don't think it's free money. It's very heavily KPI'd, and there's a very strong delivery obligation from these businesses towards the Emirate. But it is a very friendly mechanism. We've done about 45 of those so far, and a good amount of those were in the media and entertainment industry, where where Arabic content was often the core value creation proposition for us and for the shareholders in the business. One of them is up there. So Mr. Mas Sheikh with Starzplay. So Starzplay, you have probably seen in the common press, is now proudly an Abu Dhabi headquartered company. And another one you might have seen and know is Angami, the music streaming service that has fully relocated from Lebanon to Abu Dhabi to leverage the opportunity set here. We can go on forever, but I'm going to pause here.
No, I want to build on that, actually. You said clear KPIs. I'm sure a lot of the people who are interested in your investment would want to understand a little bit more about those clear KPIs. And the second question would be, are there specific sectors that you're more interested in as your strategy, or you're open to different kind of sectors?
No, absolutely. I'll try not to be too technical. I'm German in origin. We tend to, go quite technical. But when we say KPIs, it's very important to understand that what we like to see when we build business plans with companies that we want to support, we will not tell the management how to run their business or put any onerous additional investment requirements on them other than the plan that they actually want to implement here. So we see the cost side of their business plan as an investment into Abu Dhabi. Usually, roughly call it foreign direct investment. That's KPI number one. KPI number two is a high-skilled hiring target. That means content created, it means software engineers, it means kind of hardware engineers, it means senior management regionally, globally, to be present in Abu Dhabi to build a knowledge economy around here. So that's your second kind of pretty hard KPI. And then there's a third KPI that is very much focused on your contribution to the ecosystem. What do you do for society in Abu Dhabi? What do you do for the business community? Is it strategic consulting to the government of how to do things better? Is it public speaking? Is it university courses? Are there internship programs? How do you contribute? And we're very keen on those because that is what ultimately helps us drive a really a new structure of the economy and society. So with these, we think it's a very fair program that has benefited a lot of companies. Maybe quickly to the sectors. So we look at sectors that are key to the diversification strategy of the government of Abu Dhabi. So that is financial services, it's healthcare and biopharma, it's tourism to a large extent, it is agtech, so agricultural technology. It's very important for food security and other things. And of course, ICT, which is where we also group our media engagements and content creation parts. So inside these sectors, we're very happy to support businesses that are genuine about building a presence in Abu Dhabi.
Thank you, Marcus. Abdussalam, we have 420 million native Arabic speakers worldwide, and 3% online content only that's in Arabic. So obviously there's a big gap between demand and supply. In your own opinion and on your experience with Majarra, do you think that there is a need and demand for quality Arabic content? And is this need enough to sustain a profitable business?
Yes. Let me just address the statistics part of your question. You know, it's said that Arabic has a small percentage of the web. English has 50% of the web. I mean, the lingua franca of the internet is English. So 50% is in that language. The other 50%, Arabic is almost non-existent, because Arabic there is less than 1%. So it's 1% of the 50%. And you can look at the experience of other languages. You look at Russian, for example. They have what's called the RUNET. And can you imagine that in the other 50%, that is the non-English web, Russian makes how much? How much would you say? 40%. And it's something that they built over time, because there is value to societies in having access to knowledge, information, services in their own language. And this is what we're trying to do here. This is what we're trying to do in our region, in the UAE, but also across the region. So the question is, do people consume knowledge in Arabic? And I think there is no other way. So you come to a country like the UAE, where it's cities like Abu Dhabi or Dubai, where the composition of the population is cosmopolitan. They come from everywhere. And we might get the impression that people can consume knowledge in English, but a lot is lost in translation. And yes, English is the transactional language of this country, of several other countries in the world, but can you actually understand what a certain piece of information or knowledge means? Can you understand an article about management fully, so that you can implement it and then you can share it? So even if you understand it as a first speaker of English, if English is your first language, can you actually share it in your ecosystem so that the rest of the people in your company, in your society, in your organization can reap a similar benefit, and so in a way that your company also progress because of their consumption of content. So I think we can assume, and it's a very safe assumption, that like anywhere in the world, like you'll find content in Sweden in Swedish, and like you find content in Germany in German, that you need content in Arabic for the Arabs. And from our experience, people read, they share, they act on what they read, and they subscribe and they pay for a subscription. So even in that nascent industry where it's still developing, and we're going to see the extent of where people actually pay, whether it's entertainment, knowledge, I mean, all of that ecosystem. But our experience says at least there is enough validation in the market that there is a market for knowledge and information in the Arab world. I don't think there is ever a question whether Arabs consume in that language. The question mostly in the Arab world whether there is people consume in the classical form of Arabic, which is the Fusha, or the standardized. It's called MSA, modern standard Arabic.
Yeah.
Or they consume in the dialects. And this is a big question. I'm not here to answer that question, but also our experience is that when it comes to knowledge and information that people trust, people tend to trust more the content that is written in MSA, a simplified Arabic that has a certain standard that people can consume also from also from Morocco to Oman, including the GCC, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. I don't think there is a question really about that. I don't think there is a question about people's wanting to evolve and progress and grow and compete, and they cannot do that if they consume knowledge in English. They can certainly use English. And English, I mean, we always say that Arabic is your native tongue, and you need to be able to use it fully, to read in it, to write in it, whether it's your dialect or MSA. But English is a 21st century skill. You need to know enough English to transact in it as well as you know browsing the internet today. So whether you're a German or a Syrian or a Moroccan, which is a very difficult dialect for many people, you need to be able to understand a certain level of this lingua franca of the world. But do people in Egypt today, in Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, predominantly Arabic speaking, is it easier to make all of them able to understand and consume knowledge in Arabic, in English? Or is it easier to bring content to their language? Which is more economically efficient and more efficient time-wise as an investment? So we have no doubt in our mind about that, and we have decent growth that validates also the business model that Arabs actually spend on content. But what we need to do is offer them the right product. And this is, I mean, we are in a place here where people ask you, do people read? So do we have, and the question becomes for a consumer, I mean, you ask people in this fair today, do you find what you're looking for? Are you finding the right books for you? Are they displayed in the right way? Are they using the right fonts? Are publishers using the right business practices, from marketing to sales to distribution, to put these products in front of people? So instead of always blaming, and this is a trend in the region, the consumer or the reader and so on, we need to look at the industry side and see whether they're doing what they're supposed to do properly.
Yes, and build and invest in marketing and awareness and acquisition and all of that. But I want to build on two things that you've mentioned. First, you tapped into subscription. So in 2025, the streaming subscription is predicted to overcome or overtake the pay TV subscription. So platforms, all the OTT platforms, are predicted that they're, in terms of subscription rate, they're going to be higher than the pay TV platforms. However, is subscription enough right now to sustain a healthy, profitable business? I mean, we've seen giants, let's say like Netflix now, announcing that they're going to have a new revenue stream, which is an ad-supported business. So from an investment point of view, how do you, the KPI of growth, let's say for an entity like Starzplay on Anghami, you mentioned that you're not really looking at their profitability, more like their investment in the state of, in the UAE or in Abu Dhabi particularly. But also, is this something that you think about? Like, is their business model healthy enough from an investment perspective? And then Abdeslam, from a business owner, that your business is built on subscription. So how do you plan for the future when you know giants are looking into other revenue streams now?
So it's always exciting when both sides, the questions and the answers, kind of lead to the next point, which is very great. Just want to quickly pick up one thing that you said about the distribution part and to your question as well of the demand side. So I spoke to Eli, the founder of Anghami, this morning, and he told me that 1% of all music produced in the world is in Arabic language. 1%, it's not a lot. But in the Arab world, as you say, 50% of the music that gets consumed is actually in Arabic language. And the business model, Angamis and Starsplays and others, is heavily tilted towards this market, obviously, but most importantly, through local content. So both of these companies and many others that we've invested in are very focused at the moment on producing, in the Angami case, they call it Angami Originals. So they produced 350 songs last year in Arabic language with local artists, because that is where, obviously, their contribution to culture and economy is, but it's also where the money is. So it's extremely convenient that there is this very strong demand for this kind of product, and it is a very investable business model through subscription or other monetization channels, but the demand is there and it's a premium product. It's not another English song. It is a clear target market with a high propensity to spend and a very strong undersupply of content. So obviously these guys are very clever guys, but they're on it, they're investing in it heavily. We are investing ourselves into helping them build these programs. Starspray is currently producing with Image Nation here in Abu Dhabi a production series called Urban Legends, which is very relevant local content in local language, and we can't wait to see that streamed to everyone who has a phone. And why do I say this? Is because through technology, the cost of delivery of this content has become so much more competitive that the actual addressable market is growing with every mobile phone that comes out of any factory and comes to the Arab world. We have, I think, the highest penetration of mobile phones in the world, in the UAE. So this market is growing exponentially all the time. As a government, we hope we do our part to it by not only helping the content production, but also the delivery side here. And I hope you're aware that the UAE or Abu Dhabi is the first country in the world with a full 5G coverage to allow streaming of any type of content, and full broadband to home coverage to every home in the country. So we hope we're doing our part to make sure that the good content that is produced actually makes it in local language to the right people.
Abdussalam, what's your take on this?
So any business will not have one revenue stream. Any business will have, by virtue of operating, will create several revenue streams. So you look, for example, you mentioned Netflix. Netflix certainly had had a rough ride the first quarter of this year, but Netflix is still long-term a great company with several hundred millions of subscribers. So if you have all of these eyeballs watching the Netflix screen, does it make sense, if you have a decline in revenues, to start monetizing other areas of the business? It certainly does. And I mean, for Netflix, it's a company that is also pushed by the interest of shareholders. So I mean, that makes all the more sense to them to do that. But has Netflix and others validated that there is in the subscription business model an opportunity to build a more sustainable business, a business with a longer term view, a deeper relationship with your subscriber, a deeper understanding of your subscriber needs, what they're using, how they're using it, and so on and so forth. So if you look at it, even from the entertainment industry, this is a far more mature business model for a streamer than if you use it for advertising or eyeballs, or a user experience where you do not have to sign in, and therefore you cannot really track the behavior of the user over time. You look at it and you say, can I apply the same in an industry where there is struggle? So part of the reason why there is not enough Arabic content is that you look at English or you look at German. Content on the internet that is trustworthy enough, that people can use and go back to as a source, in a consistent way. So not content that an influencer puts on social media and then he or she disappears the next day for a few days. Content that you can rely on. It comes from universities, media organizations, think tanks, research. All of that does not happen here. So we do not have content put online by universities or think tanks or researchers. And as the world progressed and made leaps in this industry, we lagged behind. I mean, even in services, we use the world service, and there's no problem with that. We use the world's social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn. We don't have any localized service almost in an internet service in the region, content internet service. But when it comes to content that people need, we cannot rely on the social feed.
Sure.
You cannot rely on Twitter feed. You cannot rely on a Facebook feed. You cannot rely on user-generated content. You need content that has the verification methods done in an organization, in a company.
A reliable source. You
A
need
reliable source. And you need to find a mechanism to make that source reliable, to make sure that this source is reliable, so that there is someone that is accountable to mistakes, to mishap that happened. And this is where you look at it and say, why is there not enough content in Arabic? Why do we say that we need governments to actually subsidize content? We say it because there's no business model. The private sector, once they detect a business model, they tell the government, please stay out of it. On the contrary, in content, oh, please come and do something about it. I think the subscription business model provides that mechanism where you can build an organization on subscriptions. Now, whether that subscription is enough to make it a unicorn or not, that's a different question. That's a different question. And not all entrepreneurs and founders and businesses are interested in a $1 billion company, but think of the impact. So imagine a company like Anghami being able to have 2 million subscribers, or Stars Play 2 million subscribers, and not leaving the market to global players. Imagine what it means to the TV industry in few years, that you have local streamers with that kind of budget, with that kind of backing, investing in the TV industry. Imagine Majarra coming to 1 million subscribers in few years. What does it mean to the Arabic content space? What does it mean to the industry? What does it mean to creators, to writers, to anyone who is interested, to technologists that do content-related technologies? You're elevating an entire sector by making that bet. You and whomever makes that bet with you. Is it worth it? This is the question for me. I think it is worth it, and the numbers so far validate that it is worth it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we see, I mean, this is it's very visible how worth it is actually. We've seen since we've invested in Anghami, they have obviously gone public on the on Nasdaq some time ago. Stars Play has received very substantial investment from very relevant local entities and international entities. So there is clear validation for this. But I wanted to pick up on one other thing that you said, and that is content that people need. So we think initially it's easy to think about us, people of our age, as kind of professional users, kind of social users and others of information. But there are other people in our society that are, let's say, very small.
Yeah.
So we've identified this exact kind of content gap for early childhood education in Arabic language in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE, in the region. And we're fortunate enough that the government has given us the okay and the means to implement a program together with the Early Childhood Authority that focuses on bringing global solutions in early child healthcare and education to Abu Dhabi to be on the ground and localize their products here. And localization to a very large extent is a language topic. It's cultural relevance, but is also very strongly driven by language, bridging that language barrier, because a 2-year-old does not speak more than, I mean, that's actually not true in Abu Dhabi. It's very international here, and there's a lot of multilingual children. But a lot of culture and a lot of the way that families want to educate their children is tied to the language. And we need to make these global solutions available to our children in the country and in the Emirate. And that's something we support very actively through investment as well. So there is so many use cases, not just the ones that produce the multi-billion-dollar valuations, but the ones that are on the ground, hard, every day, in the families' realities, and that's where a big gap is still.
Can I just build on the early childhood
sure.
part, because this is important. So you think of, people are getting great education when they go to a British school or a French school. That's great. The question becomes, that child has to go back home. And this is where the process continues, right?
Yeah.
So you start at school and then you go at home and you need to interact with the parents, you need to interact with the grandparents, you need to interact with the extended family, and a lot happens in these circles. So do these interactions happen in English? They don't. And if they do, they happen in broken English. So basically, the lingua franca of the world is broken English, not English. It's bad English. And whether you're German or a Syrian or whomever, you're bringing your accent into that English while they're bringing probably a more British or proper American accent. And this gap continues to grow. And people are starting to realize this, that not only the communication between parents and children is broken, but the process of upbringing is broken. And
What do you mean?
because it starts in school and then it comes to in a certain language, kids speaking with their teachers in the school in one language, and then they come home and parents have to speak in English too. At least they try. And this is a problem. Most parents cannot do it.
It's true.
I mean, at least our generation of parents cannot do this with their kids. So the question here becomes, do we need a fundamental change in the way that we are setting students in early childhood up for proper command of Arabic and the dialect in particular? A grandparent cannot joke with his grandkid in English. You cannot use a proverb in English.
It's true.
You rarely use expressions in English that mean the same thing that have the same meaning as in your language. So it is a matter of national interest not to interrupt these processes when they start. And I'd argue, and I know we have vested interest in this, but now because the world continues online, you need to continue to have that content in Arabic too online.
It's true.
So you teach people in Arabic at school, probably not here, but Egypt, Saudi Arabia, elsewhere, and then they go online and they don't find good quality content that matches the content that they found at school. And this is also a problem. So I really believe that a lot of these things have to be thought of holistically as we make our approaches to them. And I'm really encouraged by what Mike has described about their investment in early childhood education in Arabic. Bringing the world into Arabic in early childhood is key for our societies.
Thank you. I'm told that I have 2 minutes, so I want to really open it for the stage. If you guys have any questions, we're happy to take any Q&A. Okay. Yes, please. Thank you.
So my name is Chiara Arroyo, and I have a distribution company specialized in children's books in the United States, in Spanish. And the situation there is a bit different because there is a whole generation who lost the language because they were forced to speak English once they moved to the United States. And until the families actually were aware of how important it is to have the foundations, actually strong foundations of their own mother tongue, they didn't change their mindset. So I think it's important for families here in Abu Dhabi and in the whole country to really understand that in order for their children to succeed, bilingualism starts by knowing very well Arabic. Otherwise, English is going to be learned not very well. And of course, they need to be helped, not only in school, but afterwards, because it's a big effort to maintain that. So my question is how the city, how the government or the companies are actually helping these families raise their children in a multicultural environment.
So your question is, how is the government helping in building a generation that speaks Arabic and is proud of the Arabic language? So I think, Marcus, you could cover that.
Yeah. Does this work now?
No.
Thank you. So I can only speak for the pure investment side, but our colleagues here from the Department of Culture and Tourism, they will have a very kind of pronounced and very well written program around this. So the way that we operate, as I described earlier, is that together with the Early Childhood Authority, which is a very well established government institution that focuses exclusively on early childhood education, so we run what we call a demo day, a pitch day with them, where businesses that have been previously put through a localization program present to us their business models, the relevance of their solution in general, and obviously for the Arabic world, and including the requirement of what it takes financially for them to localize that program here. And we then run a typical kind of investment panel. You know this from Shark Tank or other type of programs that do similar things. And then we'll invest in a grant format into these businesses to help them establish in Abu Dhabi, put people on the ground, and do the work of localization here in the cultural context. So that's what we do. Those are, I want to say, 7 to 10 companies per year that go through this program that are building from a small base but are growing exponentially. And we'll guide them through their future development wherever we can. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'd like to just continue from where Marcus finished. The UAE is a young country, and it's a 50-year-old country. And now the country is very ambitious in its plans for the next 50 years. Part of it is the Arabic language. We are involved in the Arabic language ecosystem as a whole. 3 years ago, we worked with the Ministry of Culture on a report called the State and Future of the Arabic Language that included several recommendations on how to deal with this matter and other matters, but specifically on education. We also worked on a declaration on the Arabic language that was issued last September. It's the UAE Declaration on the Arabic Language that included really very progressive items, including some of the more challenging ones. Is MSA, the Modern Standard Arabic, different from dialects? And the first item in that declaration is that Arabic in its MSA and the local dialects together make one pot. So at least from a UAE perspective, ending that conflict between the two. We need to work on anything that is related to Arabic, including industries that are powered by the Arabic language, the publishing industry, media industry, education, certainly, and for online companies like us, like the streaming services. there is an issue with the Arabic language because most of these industries are facing serious challenges. The publishing industry in the region faces challenges. So people rely on English books. I was on a panel a few days ago and I said, why would we accept that you order a book here online and you get it in a week while you order something on Amazon and you get it on the same day or next day? So people are used now to a certain standard in a lot of things, and we need to actually be able to live up to that standard as publishers or anyone working in that industry. It's not easy. What we're facing here, several European countries are facing it with the hegemony of English, but the ecosystem there is more advanced, and I think now learning from Europe, learning from other regions, learning from our own mistakes, and having really ambitious entrepreneurs, ambitious programs, backers like Adio and others, we can make progress in that regard. So maybe I'm not going to tell you let's revisit this in 1 year and say where we are, but probably in 10 years with a milestone, with a 5-year milestone. How does that sound, Marcus? Yeah?
Sounds perfect.
Great.
I'm sorry, but I have to cut this short now because I'm told by the organizers our time is up. Thank you so much for my panelists. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
And thank you all for attending, and thanks for the people watching us online. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.